All right, welcome to this edition of the Operator SDK community meeting. We're going to do some bug triaging. I'll be the host, and we have started recording. So remember, anything that is said will live on the internet forever. Be cautious. Keep it safe. Keep it secret. And with that, remember we want to maintain, just respect each other. We're going to be adhering to the guidelines and code of conduct set out by the CNCF. With that, let me share my screen. Perfect. And let's get rolling. Sorry for the little delay, but there was some business being handled, so that was good. Also, just some issues with Zoom. Seems to be constant. All right, so issue one. Actually, I should probably start at the bottom, but maybe I'll just go this way. We'll see what happens. And I usually get through and read these ahead of time, and I wasn't able to today. Today's been quite busy, so we get to do that together. Camilla, looks like you are involved with this. Do you want to walk us through?
It was in the backlog because when I raised this feature request, this suggestion, we was working the delivery 1.0, so we put in the backlog, but it has a pull request open, so I remove it from the backlog to give a chance we speak about that again, because I'd like to know if you all agree that it should be done or not, and then just close the pull request. It's fine as well, no problem at all if it is the second option too. The suggestion is we have a command that is run package manifest. If we use this command, the project will be deployed using the CSV manifest. But for cleanup, what was done in the command, we need to inform the project name, which is mandatory now. So the suggestion is very simple. If we have the information, because we have the information in the project file, so we can use that instead. But it just not make mandatory the project name. If the command be used outside, uh, like a pipeline from a place that is not in the root, the user is still able to use to inform the project name. My motivations for that is because I think it's a little bit weird, because we do something like run something and we don't inform anything. Then to clean up, we need to find out the information. So maybe a beginner, someone that is not in or don't have the contacts, will be hard for this person because they will not know what what is the project name, where find out this information, things like that.
Right. So I think back when you originally submitted this PR, we were going back and forth a little bit. Well, at first we were like, no, let's not do this. But then I think you made a change such that it is possible and like not that unintuitive to use the project name in the project file to run, to use cleanup. And so I think both Joe and I commented in that PR, or at least Joe did, saying that like we could go either way on this. I'm actually against doing this, more so because recently we've been having quite a few discussions about how project name differs from package name, and what we really care about here is package name, not project name. There are users who have multiple package names for the same project. And so using project name as package name every single time for a command that doesn't actually know about project name doesn't make any sense. So my vote is to not do this. It also, doing this would increase our dependency on the project file, which we want to minimize as much as possible for non-plugin commands like cleanup. I think that's another very good reason to not do this.
I would also concur with Eric. Before we were having, so there's a conversation, I think it was just last week, right, Eric, about some users wanting to have multiple packages. Before that conversation happened, I probably would have said, I could go either way, you know, whatever the consensus is. Now that that conversation has happened, I would agree with Eric that the project name is not always going to be the name of the package that's got a subscription for an operator that's running in the cluster. So when you do run bundle, you give it a bundle. When you do run package manifest, it can use the package manifests that were generated in your repo, but it also doesn't have to. So I think on the whole, it seems like trying to automatically discover the name of the thing that we want to clean up is probably puts us in a worse position just from the sheer number of options that people have in terms of the run command.
Okay, just one question about that. When we do the run, the package manifest run, we create this stuff with a name. Now is the project name, but can be anything. Okay, how we know the name to run the package manifest and we don't know the name to clean up? No matter.
I'm pretty sure it gets output in the log when you do run package manifest. I could be wrong. If it doesn't, I would be totally on board with outputting something. And I think we used to do this, in fact, where when we do the run command, we could output something that says, like, here's what you would use to clean up. I'm not convinced we need that, but we could if people want to do that.
But is this value in the CSV? Because I'm trying to...
It's not in the CSV, it's in the package metadata, which for a package manifest is in the package YAML, and then the bundle is in the annotations. But as Eric kind of suggested, the project name in the project file does not have to be the name that gets used when you generate package manifests or the bundle. And there's a bunch of scenarios where you could be in a project and do Operator SDK run bundle on a bundle that doesn't match the project name that's in the project file. So in that case, if they then thought that they could just go run Operator SDK cleanup, that would fail and it would say, sorry, I couldn't find my operator based on having looked at what's in the project file. So I feel like being explicit is probably more intuitive for users. Like basically making that required is more intuitive, because if it's not required, then it's unclear where that's being pulled from. And then again, just to repeat again, like the thing that gets run doesn't have to match the project name, even if you're inside of a project.
Yes, I captured that, but it is fine. We can close that pull request, no problem at all. I'm just trying to figure out if we don't have, okay, it's not the project name, but we have this manifest that we use to create the package manifest. So we're still able to like clean up if we are in the project, which is in like 80% of the users probably do that.
Well,
or not.
No, so that's not true. What Joe is saying is that you can have one, you will always have one project name, but you can have multiple package names. So if if you have a package name that doesn't correspond to the project name, then you're cleaning up something that might not exist or that you didn't want to clean up. So I think it can cause problems if we make an assumption about what the package name was derived from, whether it was the project name or not.
Is it, not to extend this too far, but would it be reasonable to not specify the package name if we can detect that there is only one package, and then allow for no argument being passed in that scenario, which is probably a common scenario, and then fail if there are multiple packages with the lack of ability to discern?
I would say there's no good way to do that, because you can name, like a bundle or a package anything on disk. It doesn't have to be in like the package manifest directory, for example, or in the bundle directory. That's another example. So like I don't think there's a good way to say, okay, there's only one bundle or one package name in existence in this project. So I would still say no.
Okay.
The other, and I just, again, I don't want to make this too long, but the other point here to make is that we're really not talking about run package manifest command all that much. It's more of a legacy format for operator packaging, and we're trying as best we can to get everyone switched over to the bundle packaging. And the Operator SDK bundle subcommand, you have to give it an explicit bundle to run. So the way that we've kind of got it set up now is that Operator SDK run bundle has an explicit thing to run, and Operator SDK cleanup has an explicit thing to clean up, which makes it totally decoupled from the Operator SDK project structure. So I think, you know, to add on to everything else we've said, that's another good reason, I think, to leave it that way.
Yeah, that sounds great. That makes sense. So close this is what we're basically saying.
Yeah, I will put this information in the issue to close after. Thank you for the attention, folks, and thank you for the discussion and the explanations.
Yeah, no problem.
Camilla, you're up again. Making the manifest target for Ansible and Helm. Are we?
Okay. This is another. This is another one that I put in the backlog. I just removed from the backlog now because we did a survey, and in the survey, one of the results was like it was related with that. The users ask about this as well, like I would like to have a make manifest for Helm Ansible, to generate the CRDs. So I just put this again just for we discuss if we should try do some investigation, like prioritize some investigation based on that, or put in the backlog again.
So I can give a little background here. So make manifests, if you're using a Go operator, runs controller gen. And controller gen goes and parses your types files to generate the CRD. There's some markers that QBuilder/controller gen supports to add defaults and validations and stuff like that. With Helm and Ansible, there is no Go code. There's defaults files that don't have to have a schema. So I think, so I looked at this a little bit with Helm. I don't think there's there's no way to just automatically do this, as far as I can tell, for Ansible and Helm like there is for Go, because there's kind of it's all optional, right? There's nothing that tells us for sure what we can put in the CRD validation section. But for Helm, at least, in Helm v3, they've introduced a new values.schema.json file that is optional. But if it's there, then it's basically an Open API v3 schema that we can just straight up use. However, I was trying it out. I've got a branch that sets this up, and what I found was that even so, I did this with like the base Nginx chart that, like, if you do Helm create, it scaffolds out like in a boilerplate. That base boilerplate does not have a values.schema.json file. So I found a Helm 3 plugin that will generate a values.schema.json file from a values file. And I ran it against the boilerplate and then tried to add that chart with the values.schema.json file to basically with create API for a Helm chart. And it worked just fine. And it created what looked like a valid CRD validation section. And only when you go to actually apply the CRD did I realize, like, oh, there's something in here that's not valid for what the Cube API server expects. So in this case, we had like an items, there was like an empty struct, or there's an empty array in the original values file. And obviously there's no way to know what should be in there. So when you look at the values.schema.json that's generated, it basically says like this should be an array. And there's nothing about what the array entries should look like. So when that then gets translated to the CRD validation section, it's missing the specification for what the items should validate as. And when you apply that to the Kube API server, it says, sorry, you can't do this. You have to tell us what the value should look like. So I kind of just stopped and was like, this seems like a really bad UX for people. Like if a chart has a values.schema.json that's valid for Helm, but not for Kube API server, like we won't ever know until you later try to apply it to a cluster. And it seems like you would really want to be able to tell users right then and there, like this isn't going to work. I suppose we could have discussions about like, well, we could, you know, if you've got a cluster and you've got a valid kubeconfig, we could try to do like a dry run apply to the cluster and see if any validation errors came back. So I think there are potential options, but I think my current thought on this is that it's a little bit something that we probably don't want to enable by default. At least I could see us maybe having a flag that says, you know, generate validations for the Helm chart. I don't know. That's my very long-winded status of where I kind of am on this issue.
If it was purely a dry run, not going to change anything, that might be okay. But stuff starts, I think it's weird to try and be really clever and figure out what the user wants us to do instead of requiring the user to just explicitly tell us what they want us to do and to only do that. Does that make sense?
I think the tough part is, even if it's opt-in, and even if they say, you know, Operator SDK, create API, here's my Helm chart, -- yes, please generate CRD schemas from values.schema.json. We'll do it. But again, like we don't know at that time, unless we do the dry run thing, that it's going to work. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough spot, I think.
Are there any ideas at all for how this could work for Ansible? Because as far as I know, this couldn't work.
I think on Ansible. Sorry, go ahead, Camille.
If you go up a little bit, I put a small proof of concept. So I did this code, you know, just to prove that we could, for example, take the manifest. The Ansible has a manifest that it has the types as well. We could make from there. I think I put, when I checked this another time, the YAML file. So you just get the types and return, because all objects is a specific type as well. If you look in the EP that I put down, is a EP for Operator Lifecycle Manager, and they also are speaking to do something like I put in this comment for Helm using EP. Maybe we could do some, like, our work together, put this in a place that could be used for both projects as well.
It looks like to me, so the Helm default values, is that just a YAML file?
Yeah, I think so. It's just the values, it's not that.
Because that's exactly what a Helm and Ansible, I think, basically have the same format for their values, right? So it could be that we could use the same schema generator. I'll put it, I think this is the one I use. Let me put it in the chat. I'll put this in the issue too. But it basically does what you're kind of demonstrating here, Camille. It's probably a little bit more featureful in terms of knowing how to generate OpenAPI v3. But it's, I mean, it seems like that kind of thing could work for just generic YAML.
Okay, yeah, just some thoughts on this real quick. I mean, this is obviously a map as it's indicating down here, but this is a map of arrays. So the value type inside the value of the map might matter. I don't know enough, so I'm speaking a little out of school. What are we looking to do on this issue then? Is this something we want to look into? Or?
Because in the CRG, we just put things like that. I believe this in the CRG, when it's an object, the type has a specific name when it's an object, or it's not, or is a int, or is a string, or is a map, you know. So it would be exactly, I think, like that. And we have, for Ansible, we have the default main YAML file, and for Helm, we have the charts values. So you'll be something like my initial idea was to do something like that.
So I think my 2 cents on how to triage this would be to put help wanted. I don't think this is, I mean, I don't think I've heard anybody ask us. Well, I guess we did get it from the surveys, right? So
yeah.
I don't know what the priority of this would be based on some of the survey feedback, but at the very least, I would say let's put help wanted.
Could the title of this issue be a little clearer?
Yeah, we should change this. Here, I can do that. I'll change it to enable what? CRD validation generation for Helm and Ansible.
Yeah, it is a bit more clear. Yeah. Thank you. I'm not so good with names. I'm not good to explain it though.
One of the hard parts of computer science for sure. I'm a little concerned with the labels though, just to be fair. We have help wanted, which I just added, but needs discussion, which I don't know if I like those two things landing on the same issue. I don't know if someone newly coming to this willing to give help would have enough information to provide that help.
I think that's fair. I think when I say help wanted, I think what I was thinking is if someone is interested in having this feature for their Helm or Ansible operators, would they be willing to do some investigation and write something up about how this might be able to work?
Well, Could we add a comment to that effect and just say like, hey, if you're interested in this, please contact us and let's have a discussion before you start?
Yeah, thanks, Austin. Absolutely. I would be more concerned if it said good first issue. That would not be true, but it does just say help. And if someone wants to spearhead this because it matters to them, then I think that's great. Is someone willing to volunteer to provide context that was just mentioned? And do we have...
I can do that.
Okay, great. And then I'll throw it in the backlog. So at this point, because we're waiting for any help, it pretty much is a backlog issue.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just put it just for highlight if you see if we should, moving for some place or, just because it was a request from others as well. So I thought it was important.
Yeah, no, this is great. This is perfect. It's what this meeting's all about. Oh, closed.
I just closed this issue because we have already updated the doc for this. We had to revert the conditions doc because we had removed the condition from operator lib. So we have already done that. So I just closed a few minutes back.
Great. Thank you. Oh, this was managing the Slack channel. Austin, do you have any update on this? Or?
Oh, I thought I don't remember what we decided to do last time, but I think that the consensus right now is that we can just close this.
Okay. I thought we wanted to leave it open in case we have this thought again or something like that.
Oh, I mean, we could close it and it would still serve that purpose.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen I haven't seen anything on the SDK dev channel, really. There might have been one question that I redirected someone in the last week. So in my opinion, that's probably low volume enough that we can't justify a separate channel, in my opinion.
Great. Yeah, I think
I'll comment and close this.
Awesome. Yep, I'll let you handle that. That was the last thing I remember as well, is that we wanted history, and it sounds like it's going to serve that purpose. So awesome. Thank you, Austin. Let's see here. Whoop. CI jobs in GitHub Actions.
Oh, right.
Jonathan.
So we, and I remember it was me, Eric, Joe, maybe some other people, we had a meeting to discuss originally I made an issue that says, I would like to be able to rerun my own Travis jobs. And we had a meeting to discuss, like literally in deliverable terms, what that would mean. And we came out with 3 bullet points that we actually wanted to work on. One of them was the stuff I was talking about at the very beginning today of, simplest possible piece. I would like to be able to comment/rerun jobs on a pull request and have that re-kick the Travis jobs. The other 2 bullet points, which I don't remember exactly, were, oh, that's right. It was decided that between GitHub Actions and Prow would involve a lot more changes, and we don't even really know if we want to do Prow anyways. So the decision was made to start moving towards GitHub Actions. The second piece of that, the first was just change nothing but allow a user to rerun jobs, was to see if we could move off of Travis and implement our CI jobs running in GitHub Actions alone. That's probably not totally doable because we support architectures that aren't currently supported in GitHub Actions. So we would have to end up, having some sort of hybrid implementations or something like that. And then the second bullet point of that was that our tests would have to be decoupled from deploys, which might end up being a good thing for performance reasons, but that was not a bullet point I added, so I'm not really 100% on what that means. Joe, would you care to, I think it was you who said that?
Yeah. So the reason for needing to, so right now, the way that our builds work on Travis is that if you push to master or you push a tag, you basically run the full CI with the deploy stages. And the deploy stages are dependent on the test stages. So when master runs or the tag push runs, we first run the tests, and if all of those pass, then and only then do we run the deploys. But if we move the test portion of the jobs to GitHub Actions, then now we've decoupled that linkage, and it's, as far as I know, not possible. Maybe it's possible with some really hacky stuff, but as far as I know, not possible to make the deploy stage that would run in Travis dependent on the test stage that would run in GitHub Actions. So as we talked about it during the meeting after, like last Monday, I think we mostly got to the consensus that it would be fine to have the master and tag pushes just straight up deploy. There's no need to run the tests again because the tests have already run during the PR that was merged to get to that point. I think that sums it up. Is there anything
Mm-hmm. So this issue is just covering moving those tests over and looking up everything that needs to be hooked up.
Yeah, and it sounded like, at least Joe, your description was that of like more of a release or a merge, not a PR CI, right?
Correct. The tests are the same. Right now, no matter what, if it's a PR or a branch that's on the SDK repo, like master, or a tag on the SDK repo, the exact same set of tests run. But if it's a branch push, like when a PR gets merged, or a tag push, then the extra deploy steps run.
Joe, could you do me a favor and just write down what you just said on this issue?
Sure.
And how would we like to triage this issue? I appreciate the context, so that was really great. But where do we stand on it?
Well, like I said, I'm working on the simple first piece right now. So this is sort of a next step kind of thing. But it is, I mean, this is something we'd actively like to do. So I think stick it in N+1. I forget what number we're on right now.
1.3.
Sure.
Okay, so, and that commitment, just so we're clear, is like, that's right around Thanksgiving or maybe the week before. We're good?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. And should I assign it to you, Jonathan?
Sure.
Yes. Perfect, thank you. And thank you for bringing it to our attention for sure. I see the value and the improvement, so. Jonathan, it looks like you're up again. Let's see here.
This is the other thing. So currently, like Joe said, there's tests that run on the heads of branches as well as when you open a PR. Of particular interest, maybe, is the tests that run on the head of master. Currently, it's kind of weird. These things are actually publicized. There's like a little button at the top of the home page, but like that's super not obvious. And like I didn't even really know it existed until Joe told me. So this was just like maybe publicize that some way, because you know it's probably interesting when those fail. That's probably something to be concerned with. So like I don't know, there's a couple options in here, like set up a Slack reminder or email people or something.
But in the README, we have, how we call that? Buttons. We have an icon that shows is fail or is working. And if we click on that, we can check the tests.
That's the button that Jonathan was referring to. I will say that that's common across projects. So I'm used to seeing it. I don't know if that's consistent with everyone. It depends on what I'd be curious about, Jonathan, is what the intention is. So if you're looking at history, if you're wanting the history of things, then that would be different than what I see here listed as action items. So I'm assuming we don't care about the frequency and history, because that's not captured here. You're just wanting higher visibility of a failure? Is that the intention?
I mean, yeah. I feel like, I mean, does anybody here really pay attention to when that test fails? Is that really a cause of concern for anybody here?
Well, I think we take a look if it was my PR that merged last.
I think generally, and I might just be speaking for myself here, but I think what I've encountered is that CI flakes fairly frequently, and master is no different. So a lot of the times that master fails is really just a flake. And if something actually goes wrong and somehow we merge something to master that actually breaks something, we'll notice it pretty quickly when the next PR that is posted is based on that branch, and that PR then also fails CI for the same reason. So generally, we haven't been too concerned about master failures for two reasons. One is they theoretically, and I think not just theoretically, but in reality, everything that's on master has been tested in a PR that's already been merged. So CI has passed for that. And then the second part is if master fails, it's almost based on that. It's almost guaranteed to be a flake. I don't know if I've seen master fail and it not be a flake, except for like docs links that broke when we merge something, which I think is probably the biggest thing that happens. But
oh, sorry.
Yep, I think that's probably all I was going to say. The other thing is like when we push a tag, we're part of the release process is like the tag has to pass. Like we'll just keep rerunning it until it does. And if it doesn't, then we always have to kind of have a separate side meeting to talk about, what happened and how do we resolve it at this point.
Isn't it possible for pull requests to be based on an old commit of master that doesn't need to be rebased because it doesn't touch any things that's changed on master since I forked my branch or whatever? And
yes.
the test.
Yes, but I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I think I was reading that on Travis's side, they actually merge your PR into the latest master and then run CI against that.
This
Okay.
raises, wow.
Usually, sorry, just to supplement, because usually when it's red in the README, and we click on there to check what fails. Sometimes it's the images, because we build a lot of images with different archetypes. So it's just, retweak the job. It's not really something broke. It's more a network issue and Travis stuff.
Yeah, good point. This raises a whole other concern for me. I don't know if it's worth capturing, but do we do a good job of capturing these flakes? Because outside of, Docker deciding they're going to limit us, and then we've run out that limit. Of course, we're on Quay, so I don't know if we have that same issue. But networking issues, those are slightly different. But other flakes that might have inappropriately designed tests, do we capture that well?
I think we've been doing a better job recently. I've seen a fair amount of issues. I filed some. I know Camilla's filed some for flakes, and I think that just ought to be the policy. Like, if there's a flake, file an issue if there's not already one, and if there is already one, give it a thumbs up.
Agreed. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
that's great.
The other thing that maybe is valid to say is that we are working on improving the test stuff. So we have a long journey. We have many ideas, like split the repos, things like that for the future. So maybe a lot of things will be easier, but it's too much. So it needs to be step to step, because we have a lot of tests.
Yeah, great. Okay, this has been a great discussion. I think Jonathan does make a point of wanting to escalate or elevate or make more aware. I think plenty of us see like the main README or get the GitHub email, but does it make sense to send a Slack message or send an email to committers? Hope I didn't use the wrong word.
If our CI fail, like for example, if we do a pull request, that pull request, when is merged, fails, we receive an email. At least I think so, that I receive an email saying that you're favoring the master. When is my PR?
Okay, so are we in agreement that then we can close this and there's nothing to do, or where do we want to go? Jonathan, how do you feel?
I mean, it sounds like people are generally in consensus. We have the badge running, and most of these failures are flakes anyway. So yeah, it sounds like there's nothing really actionable about this.
Okay. I'll come back around and close it with some context.
I'll type a thing.
Oh, you got it? Awesome. Great. Thank you. I am going to, let's see here. Yeah, we're doing this in the right order. Okay, great. This looks like some documentation. Jesus, you want to provide context, or we? Do we wake you up?
No, I have to. I can't. I'm trying to see it.
Sorry. Oh, well, I can
13.
Yeah. 4113.
Wrong link in OLM integration package manifest. Did I write this?
Get blame says you did.
Yes, it does. I can fix this. I think it's just literally updating the links.
Right.
In this section. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. This is literally a link update. I can do this. Sorry about that.
Nope.
Yep.
I'll assign you if it will let me. I'm not sure what the deal is here. There we go. There we go. And then just put you into the next milestone.
Yeah.
My machine started running slow for some reason. All right. Next up, generated release binary signatures with consistent GPG keys. Joe, looks like you might, let's see here. Are we good here?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is being handled by me. I would just say we could probably call this a feature and priority important long term.
Eric, do we think that this will land at the same time that the Go releaser stuff lands?
It has to.
Okay. So
1.3?
Do we have a milestone for that?
Yeah, 1.3.
Okay. Sounds like you're on it, so I don't know if any further context is needed. We're good?
Yeah, this is relating to the refactor of our release process to make things easier.
Very good. They're waiting. Okay, is this potentially a bug? Let's gonna have to read through this.
I remember taking a look at this and being a little bit confused because this, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but I think what is happening is if you install two operator groups in two different namespaces and they have an overlapping set of namespaces in their target namespaces, then you will see this error. Although I'm not exactly sure if that is true. It sounds like that's what's happening here. If it is true, then this is just an OLM error and we can close this out. If that isn't true, then maybe the SDK is doing something weird here or user error. I'm not sure. But you can assign that to, would anybody like to take this on?
I can do it. Looks like they're just Jesus.
Yeah.
There you go. It looks like it's run bundle related.
I think my guess is that this would be caused by the user having another operator group or another namespace with an operator group that overlaps with the namespace they're doing this installation in.
Yeah,
so it might just be documentation.
I was kind of hoping that you could do that. Like, is there a reason why you have to have like non-intersecting sets of namespaces for all operator groups?
They can intersect as long as they don't share any APIs.
Hence,
you can only have one
text.
operator. Yeah, exactly.
So when you said that, Joe, do you mean you have two operators looking for the same resource kind, like a pod that's not allowed, but otherwise would be allowed?
Correct. So it's for CRDs, right? Like, so if you have namespace foo and you initially created some operator that says that it supports CRD bar, and then in namespace default, and the operator group in namespace foo says like I'm watching foo and default, and then you go over into the default namespace and you say I want to create a new operator and I want it to watch type bar. And I want to watch just this namespace. It's going to be like, well, sorry, there's already an operator watching this namespace supporting type bar, so you can't do that.
Got it. Looks like, Jesus, you've got it backlogged then? This is more triaging, not triaging, but kind of support with some determination of action, I would imagine. We're good?
I would put support label on here, triage support, I think. And Jesus, my suggestion on this would be just link them to OLM docs. And if OLM docs don't exist, then we should create an issue somewhere in the OLM, something that says we need docs for this, and then we can probably close this.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, So this one is a very small change. So currently when SDK scaffolds a CSV, we don't have a container port and a target port specified in the webhook definitions, and that causes the install plan to fail. So we just need to scaffold a CSV with both of those defaulting to the value specified in the service reference. So I'll create a PR to fix this.
Awesome. Do you have a time frame? Is this expected in 1.3 or?
Yeah, we could have it in 1.3 or even in 1.2. This is just a very small fix.
Okay. And
just to be clear, we're not hard coding defaults in the SDK's generator, right? For this, you're getting this from the service.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Very good. We have a signed, we have a milestone. Next step would be create a test to ensure that user-facing dependencies are installed in Ansible base image. Camilla or
I actually just changed the title of this one.
Mm.
We've got Camilla just removed a test that wasn't actually getting run, that was checking to see if there was a library being installed in the Ansible operator base image. And it's sort of tricky because we don't actually use those dependencies anywhere in the SDK. It's just something that we install as like a courtesy to the users that will be expecting to use it. So it's possible that those things could be removed and nothing would fail in our CI. So anything that we've made available to the users, we should have a test for to make sure that we don't break backwards compatibility.
That's great. Do we have an ETA and an assignee for this?
You can put it for, we can put it for me in a backlog. I think it's not, unless someone's agreeing.
Backlog item, if I can speak. Is that good?
Yeah, and if it's in the backlog, maybe help wanted, unless you actually want to do it, Camilla.
Can be helpful.
And actually good first issue.
So removing myself, let's see if someone can take, let's give it the opportunity.
Okay, just a time check. We've got 6 minutes. Let's see here. Triage support looks like Camilla's involved. You want to provide? Let's see here. Service monitor on the operator with OLM. Any update on that, Camilla?
If I can remember properly this issue, the user was looking for how to use the bundle, integrate the project, because before we have scaffolded the service monitor by default. So in the old versions, so in 1.0, we need to update the customize to enable Prometheus to have the service monitor and this stuff work on. And I think it has a pull request from Joe to make the bundle works with the service monitor, this stuff, if I'm not wrong. I believe that I linked it at the end.
Yeah,
maybe the last
merged.
comment.
I think I merged that yesterday, maybe.
Okay, this sounds like there's ongoing support. So would go to the backlog based on what I'm hearing. And then Camilla, are you wanting to, I mean, it sounds like you're handling it, or is someone else, are you looking for someone else?
I just would like to confirm that this problem is solved with the Joe's pull request, which was my last comment. If I
understood properly. It should be solved. I would suggest that we close this, say that it was closed by that PR, and if it's not actually solved, then we can always open another issue.
Yeah, great. Camilla, could you add that comment and just close for
Sure.
us? Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
What was that? Actually, I noticed there was one last comment there. Might not address this part of the comment. What's that in the quoted text there?
It says that Prometheus might not be installed.
So that's actually a question for OLM. Like if the bundle contains a object for a kind that the cluster doesn't support, what does OLM do? I think from our perspective, we should close this and say it's fixed. And then from the OLM perspective, if it tries to create something like that, then there probably needs to be, if there's not already, there probably needs to be some discussion about how that should work. I think either one of two things would happen. It seems like if it's kind of an optional thing, then you should be able to install without it. But there's very likely cases where there's an API you expect to be there that's not, you haven't declared it in your required APIs. Yeah, so I don't know. It seems like there's a case here for like some options for how OLM should handle these resources that may or may not have cluster support.
Yep.
Either way, I would say close this.
Yeah, I assume, Camilla, you're adding comment. I would address, it sounds like he's got it fixed. It sounds like there might be some additional context or pointing him in the right direction for OLM, and then potentially even creating an issue for
Sure.
OLM. Yeah.
I catch it, the idea. No worry, folks. I will try.
All right, we're going to try to squeeze
Thank
one
you.
more in. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Issue while upgrading, 114 to 116. And
It's me again. Let's see.
getting a lot of love today for sure, yeah. First of all, this looks like Go, yeah?
Yeah, I doesn't know the type because this I asked what is the type because this can be different, do you know the steps? So if I remember, the folk is facing some problem to upgrade the projects. He would like to know how can work with other versions of CRG. So if he is Go, they should update the making file and run make generate, and then you change the scaffold, the API, the CRG API version used. If it is Helm or Ansible, I believe that we have a flag CRG version to define.
Well, this isn't talking about CRDs. This is talking about deployment API version. I would almost close this out and say this is like a general Kubernetes like issue, and you have to maintain 2 different versions of your deployment effectively if you want to support old clusters.
Do you think that they are asking like how to support both?
You know, I think I know enough that I could add some comment here. It is a good, I guess we could ask some more questions, but I'll go ahead and take on addressing this. I see what Eric's saying, and it makes sense.
So I didn't get. Really thank you, folks. I didn't get the question of these.
And with that, we're at the hour. Let's see here. There's 6, 7, 8, something like that. Issues left over. I'll come through those, just see where we're at. Looks like, Camilla, you've got maybe 3 or 4 of those open up as well. You know, if they need some triaging and some discussion, then leave them open. We'll get to them the next triage meeting. And with that, is there any last minute business that we're already a minute behind? Perfect. I hope you're healthy.
Don't give it time before nobody answer.
Don't get sick, Camilla. There's a lot of work. We're dependent on you. All right. Have a great day, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye. Really thank you, Ken.
Yeah.